Phantom's Revenge is a steel hypercoaster in Kennywood Park located just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This coaster is used to receiving massive praise from fans and critics alike, with this coaster often receiving some of the longest lines in the park and being ranked as the 15th best steel coaster in the world by the Golden Ticket Awards Top 50 Steel Coasters of 2024. Fortunately, I had the chance to ride this legendary coaster recently, so I wanted to talk about my experience on this ride. Before we can talk about the ride experience today, I find value in learning how it came to be. Today, Phantom's Revenge sits on a plot of land towards the middle back of the park that was once occupied by the Laser Loop, a Schwarzkopf flywheel in the 1980s. However, around 1990, due to computer issues with the Laser Loop and wanting to bring in thrill seekers, the park wanted to add a new, high-profile steel coaster, and the only place it could go at the time was right where the Laser Loop sat. This led to the construction of the Steel Phantom, an aerodynamics custom looping coaster. This coaster opened to a lot of hype, being the first hypercoaster or a coaster that has a 200 plus foot drop to feature inversions, and its second drop was actually larger than its first, a relatively uncommon feature due to terrain needing to be just right in most cases. This coaster featured a chain lift hill, which led to a banked drop. From this drop, the coaster would climb a smaller hill that would lead to a 225-foot drop into a ravine, reaching speeds of up to 80 miles an hour before climbing back up into 4 inversions, then ending back up in the station. Unfortunately, the ride quickly gained a poor reputation with riders complaining about the ride being painful and generally unpleasant due to the fact that the ride was flying through the inversions way too fast. Riders were banging their heads and necks against the over-the-shoulder restraints, which were required due to the ride's inversions. Trim brakes were installed briefly after opening, but it still was not enough to save Steel Phantom. This led to an announcement in March of 2005 that the ride would close following the season's end. Fortunately, the park was not going to give up on their desire for a high-impact thrill coaster, so they opted to repurpose the Steel Phantom and perform a significant redesign. This redesign was handled by Morgan, and the coaster would maintain about the first half of the layout, give or take, including using the same track for the lift hill from Steel Phantom. After climbing the second hill, the ride then plunged 3 feet deeper into the ravine than Steel Phantom, with its second drop reaching 228 feet and reaching speeds of 85 miles per hour. After dropping into the ravine, the ride has its first of 3 main interactions with the structure of the adjacent coaster, Thunderbolt. Who knows, maybe this video does well, I'll do a separate video on Thunderbolt. To let me know, smash like and subscribe and let me know in the comments. After this first interaction, Phantom's Revenge then goes around a large banked circle at a near 90-degree angle before banking back and running through the structure of Thunderbolt 2 more times with a head chopper moment baked in there in quick succession. From here, the coaster then circles a flat ride, the Turtle, before going through a series of bunny hills that feature amazing ejector airtime before ultimately coming back to the station. Now that we've discussed the layout, what are my thoughts on this ride? Well, ultimately, I think it is definitely top 2 in the park. Whether it's the best in the park for me depends on the day. There is another coaster, Steel Curtain, that features many more inversions and is the tallest in the state, but Phantom's Revenge has a lot more intensity packed into it. This ain't necessarily a kid's first steel coaster if you catch my drift. It is a fun coaster, and I wouldn't say kids shouldn't ride it, but for newer riders, it can be quite intense. My favorite part of the ride by far is that second drop into the ravine with the bunny hills in a close second. These 2 elements are insane on your first ride, and that second drop is where you get that hypercoaster experience. And the bunny hills, oh, don't even get me started. They are a nice, huge pop of ejector air. You almost get yanked out of your seat like you're on a mechanical bull on those hills. Even the interactions with Thunderbolt are quite cool, especially the second set of 2 interactions where you get that head chopper moment. The train does feel like it is that close, yet you're not going to touch it. It is insane. I can't even describe it. I guess if I had to mention a few drawbacks to this ride, I would say the lift hill, while it's not necessarily a major drawback, it is slow. They use the old Arrow lift hill and it shows. The hill could take upwards of a minute to climb from the moment you leave the station to the moment of release from the chain. Also, the queue can be quite long. As I wrote this at 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday with nice weather, the current line was 35 minutes. Now imagine that on a weekend where it can reach upwards of an hour. I mean, is it worth the wait? Absolutely, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention it here. Now, have you ridden Phantom's Revenge or been to Kennywood before? Did you learn something new about the ride today? Is there another ride at Kennywood Park you would like me to do a video on? Let me know down in the comments below. I love reading your comments and I respond to every single one of them I get. Other than that, like and subscribe for a potential Thunderbolt video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out and have a good one.